Hello there guys and welcome, it is Niran here, and today it is time for yet another F1 2015 discussion video. This time it is episode number 3, and I do believe this will be the last of the series, but by popular demand I've decided to do a third to complete the trilogy. It was first of all going to be 2, but everyone wanted me to do another. That mistake was an innuendo in itself. We'll gloss over that though. The first one was about career mode and online. The second one was about gameplay features like camera angles, AI, sort of, you know, all that sort of thing, gameplay modes and all of that sort of thing. This one is just going to be a community one. I've gone through the last 2 comments and some tweets that I received, and I'm going to be basically showing you the best ideas from you guys in effect and talking over some of those. They're all ideas I don't think I've had before, so there's some new fresh ideas and I cannot wait to share them with you. But first of all, we've got TR Gamer, who says a career where you start off with a small job such as a test driver, then you build up to be a driver, team principal and everything like that. Maybe they could also bring in that you become a presenter or something. Most probably never going to happen, but it would be great. Well, I hope it does happen. That would be quite interesting. Not sure how they could bring the presenter or reporter style into the game, but certainly being a test driver, then a driver, and then a team principal would be something that would be absolutely huge for the F1 franchise. It's something that's happened on FIFA as well. You can have a player career mode, sorry, then retire and then become a manager. I would love that personally. There's not really an F1 manager game out there, so that would sort of engulf another aspect that hasn't really been covered yet as well. Next up though, we've got E20 in. I'm sorry, I just can't pronounce that. There's too many numbers and letters, but you know who you are. I would like to see reserve drivers breaking in and drivers changing teams. This is something that I actually went over in the first episode, I think it was, in the first video. Basically, just to gloss over this. It's reserve drivers like Daniel Juncadella, Robin Fry and Susie Wolf moving up to the first team, because obviously with licensing issues, Codemasters can't actually change drivers around a lot of the time. They can't actually just transfer drivers between teams. So a clever way of getting around that would be to use test drivers and get them promoted, just to mix things up, just to make it not so stale in sort of Season 2 and Season 3. So a really good idea from that guy. Now we're moving on to F1 2015 season build-up and news. This is a massive paragraph, so I'm gonna cut it down slightly. I would like it if you could have a sponsorship value judging how you respond to the press and your driver ability, showing how skilled you are. It would also be great if you could get dropped easily by a team. So that would be quite realistic actually. Obviously drivers do get dropped at the end of a season or throughout a season if their performances aren't good enough, so maybe you can have objectives to hit by certain points in the season. If you fail them miserably, then you get dropped, or if you do incredibly, then you get an offer from a better team, rather than just scripted getting a better offer from a better team. Then after that, he goes on to say it would also be good if you could have team orders, which could also affect as to whether you get dropped by your team. And finally, it would be great to have official cameras and the AI being a lot faster on the first lap. The last 2 I have gone over already. They would be huge. Better AI is certainly required, and also official cameras. The camera angles have been a bit stale recently. Pretty much the same for the last sort of 3 F1 games. Team orders would be slightly controversial, but it's sort of realistic. It would be something that I would quite like to see. Not sure how they would incorporate that into the game, but yeah, very, very interesting. That would make career mode so much more interesting. With sort of inter-team rivalries. Next up, we've got Ben Roycroft saying, live the life and live transfers are essential. The pre-race, post-race interviews and the paddock need to return, and all of these features would help pull me back into the game. I'm a massive F1 fan, but I haven't played the game since 2013, and then goes on to say that he liked the Ultimate Team style idea that was in episode 1. So thank you very much for that, Ben, although it wasn't me that came up with the idea. But yeah, I totally agree with him. Live the life is massive. It's going to be massive. It is massive. I don't think they're going to put it into F1 2015, but ultimately it would make career mode so much better. So why they just don't seem to want to do it is absolutely beyond me. Transfers as well, we've talked about. That would be something that would really mix the game up a little bit. Next up, we've got another humongous paragraph from F1 2015 season build-up and news. Personally, I would like to see official everything, because at the end of the day, it is an official game. Yeah, that's pretty much that. I mean, I agree with that. It hasn't necessarily been completely official. The Williams livery debacle, and also the fact you can't pick your own number for some reason on career mode. Again, he goes on to say that the scripting surrounding the career mode job offers and the career mode drive offers, which is pretty poor, it has to be said. Really and truly, it's a bit stupid that you can get an offer from a big team despite doing badly. We've also got official paddock and official interviews, then better damage. Crashing should punish you like realistic damage mod, and yeah, I would agree with that too. I know the realistic damage thing has been something huge. Obviously you can get the mod, but on console games the damage is a bit poor, really. I mean, the damage itself is actually okay, the fact that you can damage lots of different parts of the car, but how difficult it actually is to knock things off your car is a little bit shocking. It doesn't necessarily need to be wholly realistic, but it is a little bit under where it should be. Next we've got Alex Cameron saying the AI should show effective tyre wear like skidding or slower laps. I've never seen this in an F1 game, neither have I actually. Tyre wear doesn't really seem to be a thing that actually affects the AI, unfortunately. And also customization of your driver, so you can have, you know, different facial expressions, different, you know, eyes or whatever, or just complexion, anything like that. As well as custom helmet designs too. That would be just a little bit more immersive, because it's a little bit bland. You just have the same guy constantly. You've got about 50 helmet templates. They're not amazing, although some of them are pretty good, but it would be nice to be able to customize them as well, maybe change the color of a certain design. So yeah, thank you very much to Alex Cameron. That's a very good suggestion, or very few suggestions actually, a very good few suggestions there from himself. And now we've got Alfie Hewitt saying realistic damage would be good, also maybe inter-team rivalry. Both of these things we actually talked about briefly before now. Realistic damage would be awesome. Maybe if there was a slider actually, like on the actual mod on PC, to sort of determine how realistic it was, just so if people didn't want realistic damage, it wouldn't be an issue. And then also inter-team rivalry, again, would make career mode so much more entertaining if you had perhaps levels of how popular you were with actually every single driver on the grid. That would be insane. Then maybe the AI character would be more aggressive towards you in races, or slightly more cautious against you because they respect you more. Anything like that, actual AI characteristics amongst each driver would be absolutely insane. Next up, we've got the drag veteran saying the option to turn fuel limit off. That is something that some people do actually want, because occasionally they do run out of fuel because they don't really know how to work it. And I get that, to be honest with you, I get that. It's not a difficult thing to implement onto the game, so I wouldn't really mind that. I personally would leave the fuel limit on. But anyway, yeah, that would be quite good, I suppose, for some people. Unpredictable and realistic pit stops, formation lap, and V10 cars. I imagine V10 cars being, you know, coming under classic content. Formation laps, everyone wants formation laps. That and podiums, I don't know why they're not on the game already, because I'm sure they were on games like F1 2002. Also, unpredictable and realistic pit stops. Yeah, the pit stops this year are for some reason really slow, and they're also always 3.7 seconds, which is just too damn predictable. I don't understand why they don't sort of mess up occasionally. It would be annoying sometimes, but then again, it's realistic, you know. You want that sort of unpredictability that the game really hasn't had for quite a few years. Next up, we've got the Viper Racing on Twitter saying, okay, what about 2000 to 2006 cars and a career mode that perhaps revolves around them? Also, commentary. Commentary is something there's split opinions, really. I would quite like to see it, actually, but only if you could switch it off, because in some situations you might need to record stuff for a video. Might not really work if you're trying to commentate over commentary, but overall I would like to see that. Maybe Martin Brundle and Crofty commentating over the game. Also, 2000-2006 cars. I love 2000 to 2006 cars. They're my favourite sort of brand of cars, or favourite time period of F1, so I would love to see that on the game under classic content as well, and perhaps a career mode that revolved around them would be pretty cool as well, although not entirely sure how they would manage to implement that into the game. Next up though, we have got Ryan Foley Racing. You should get to decide how many laps or distance percentage you can do in career with a bit more detail, so using examples like 3 laps, 10% or 20% races, which I think, yeah, as he says, was in F1 Championship Edition. Yeah, I would quite like to see that as well, just a bit more variation in general, a bit more choice for people in general, because sometimes you want to actually fit the game around what you like, not just sort of a preset that is given to you. So yeah, I would quite like to see that as well. Also, 7 race and 12 race season calendars should be mixed up, the races that are included in them, for a little bit more variety. The game doesn't have much variety as it is, so I think that would be pretty interesting to do. I don't really do the 7 race or 12 race calendars anyway, but I imagine if I were to do them, having the choice or the variety of maybe just randomly picked races in random order may make it slightly more, just slightly different at least, and less stale for seasons that go on. Next up, we've got Kenneth Ang saying the AI should be able to take us out in a race. That does happen occasionally, to be honest with you. That would be very interesting. Not entirely sure if many people would want that, to be honest with you, although it is something that would happen in real life, so I don't see why. I think basically the AI should be a bit more unpredictable in what they do. I think that's what we should go for, rather than them just taking us out. But yeah, I do get that. That would be something that I would quite like to see. Next up, Ryan Foley, again this time on Twitter, Spectator Mode for single player like on the old F1 games, where you could set up a race for the AI and watch it. This is actually something, weirdly, I actually really want to see. I used to love watching the AI just have random races on. I think it was F1 2002. I used to just do this, and I just used to sit down with just some snacks and watch the AI. I don't know if that's sad of me, to be honest with you. It probably is, but it would be something I would quite like to see, because for various reasons you might actually want to have that. It saves a lot of time editing perhaps in some formats. I know the qualifying report for me would only take about 5 minutes if I was able to do it like that, but that's not the point. That would be something I would quite like to see, and yet again, shouldn't really be that hard to implement into a game. It's just whether enough people would actually like to see it that swings Codemaster's opinion. But last of all, we have got the Goofy Max, or the Goofy Max, ignore the. You mentioned most of my issues that I had, like no damage except for specific parts and slow first laps, as well as commentary. He'd like all of those things, but two things he would like to change are that the AI should not always follow the green line or the racing line. If you have the assists on, you'll know what the racing line, you'll know what the racing line is anyway. But yeah, basically they shouldn't just always stick to one line, make mistakes, maybe miss apexes every now and again, because they just literally never. I've never just seen an AI randomly miss an apex unless he's off in the gravel or just retiring. Also, less predictable when attacking or defending. It looks very scripted. The second thing would be to include offline multiplayer championships, because online had too many flaws, and I prefer sitting next to my best friend to play together and not 2 houses away. And tyres not to be scripted, mistakes should be penalised. So yeah, the last thing, tyre wear shouldn't really be scripted. That we all know that the AI don't really have any tyre wear to be seen at all whatsoever, which is extremely infuriating when it gets to the end of a stint on career mode and the AI are just doing consistent bang 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 lap times they've been doing since lap 1. It's very infuriating, it has to be said. And yeah, overall, just more unpredictability for the AI, I think, is something we can learn from this video, because they are a little bit predictable when it comes to attacking, comes to defending. You know, all you've got to do is let the AI go to the inside, and they'll just back out when it comes to the next corner. So yeah, that and defending, they need to just sort of swing about occasionally, maybe make a few more moves than are required, anything just to mix the AI up a little bit. But hopefully that will come with next gen. Huge opportunities for Codemasters to make a really good game now that we're going on to a higher powered console, being Xbox One and PlayStation 4. But in the meantime, I hope you've really enjoyed this discussion video. I hope I went over all of the points that you guys covered in the comment section in the first 2 episodes. This community discussion video, I suppose I can call it now, and I'll put that in the title probably. If I haven't, remind me, because that was actually a decent idea. But nevertheless, it has been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Feel free to drop a like in not in the comment section. You can't drop likes in the comment section. Feel free to drop a comment in the comment section showing anything that you would like to see. If I didn't go over it in any of the 3 videos, drop your suggestions for improvements for F1 2015 in the comment section below. And yeah, I think I've covered everything. Feel free to subscribe if you are new around here as well. Like, I've said that already. But, yeah, I suppose that just shows me that you enjoyed the video if you do drop a like. In the meantime, it has been an absolute pleasure ranting at you guys today in this mammoth discussion video that we have been through. But in the meantime, have a good day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.